Brock Purdy, aka Mr. Irrelevant, has undoubtedly become Mr. Relevant after his 10-0 start in regular season games and leading the Niners to the NFC Championship game. However, even after Purdy's historic start, there's always been a pugnacious crowd in the corner buzzing, and that buzz has gotten louder after these past 2 weeks. And it's saying, and they're preaching, they're screaming, Brock Purdy is a system quarterback. Now, is this really even true? Is Brock Purdy really a system quarterback? Well, firstly, what does a system quarterback even mean? Wikipedia has it as a system quarterback is an American football quarterback who flourishes under a particular offensive system, specifically one that focuses on passing. The term is often seen as a pejorative, for it implicitly downplays a quarterback's talent or skill by implying that a successful offense is due to a particular scheme or that a quarterback is successful due to his employment under specific circumstances. So, all right, we got the definition. So is it Purdy or is it the offense? Look, I think there's no question that the Niners offense is stacked. You got Debo, McCaffrey, Kittle, Williams, Ayuk, the list goes on. Those playmakers are paired with Kyle Shanahan's scheme that has taken the Niners to 3 NFC Championship games and a Super Bowl ever since he got there in 2017. So it's no surprise the main argument they use against Brock is that the roster and the scheme is the main reason why he's doing so good. He's not an elite QB. He's not a game changer. He can't carry the team. He's just benefiting from good circumstances. Now, the other side of the argument is saying, look what the previous quarterbacks did, which I think is fair. Look, Garoppolo struggled many times, and Trey Lance never got it going, which I think is due to lack of opportunities and injuries. However, those 2 quarterbacks had their struggling moments. Also, in the 2020 and 2021 season, Jimmy G got hurt, and the Niners had to rely on CJ Beathard and Nick Mullins, who collectively ended up going 6-10. So right there is an example that you can't just drop any QB in and think they're going to do good. With that being said, though, on the other side of that, Jimmy G, who struggled, made it to the Super Bowl and 2 NFC Championship games in this scheme and a team that was Christian McCaffrey-less. You could argue that Christian McCaffrey has a bigger impact on the Niners than Purdy. In other words, I don't feel Garoppolo is that high on people's QB ranking list, and he still found a way to make it to a Super Bowl in this system, which is something that many QBs never attain. And this just feeds to that argument of Purdy being a system QB. But Purdy has such a small sample size, and with that sample size, in that 1 year, he made it to the NFC Championship game. And who knows, if he doesn't get hurt, they might win that game, and they might win the Super Bowl. Also, when you look back at the Niners and when they made the NFC Championship games and the Super Bowl with Jimmy G, it always felt like they quite didn't trust him. They relied heavily on the run, which they still do with Purdy. But I don't feel there's that mistrust with Purdy like there was with Jimmy G. If you couldn't tell by now, my whole point so far is that this whole discussion is tricky and I don't feel has a clear, definitive answer right now as it stands. I cannot fully deny that the talent around him gives him a great boost and ignore Christian McCaffrey's impact on the offense last year and this year. But I also can't ignore the fact that in Purdy's small sample size, he has taken advantage of the boost more than any other quarterback has with the Niners. So after looking at both sides, and if I have to come to an answer, I'm saying Brock Purdy is not a system QB. He is a good QB. However, as it stands right now, I feel he gets a little overhyped. If you put him on a team that doesn't have the talent around him, maybe like Carolina, Tampa, maybe the Bears, I don't feel he's going to have the same success as he's having with the Niners. Yeah, you could argue, and I wouldn't disagree, that he could maybe improve those teams, but I just do not see he could have the same level of success that he's having on the Niners than on those other teams. Now, I don't want that to seem like a knock. I'm just saying right now. In other words, if I'm a Niners fan, I'm ecstatic and happy and confident because of Brock. He is so young And to me, the sky is the limit, especially with the circumstances he is in. I feel the system he is in will only help him progress faster and give him confidence that many QBs get chiseled away in the early part of their careers, which cracks their foundation for the rest of their careers. I feel he can take this Niners team to the Super Bowl and eventually develop into a QB when the talent isn't as good as it is right now, can carry the Niners to a Super Bowl. But if they keep losing, and especially if key players are not in the offense at the time, this conversation is going to get louder with Purdy. No matter how you feel, this week should be interesting because Brock Purdy is out with concussion. Hopefully he'll be okay and he can come back next week. But no matter what, Sam Darnold is going to have to step up. And we'll see. He's had his highs and lows. And if he absolutely dominates next game or does very well, it will raise some eyebrows again and get this conversation started again. And to me, though, he would have to consistently do what Purdy has done for me to then go, all right, maybe it is the system. Either way, that's all I have for this. And, I kind of gave my points. But ultimately, I feel the sample size is just so small to have a clear, definitive answer. But I do feel that he's just not some system QB. He's doing good. You can't just have a bad QB. A bad QB will not be successful in the Niners offense. He's a good QB. But if you're still watching, let me know what you think. Do you think he's a system QB or he has elevated the Niners to a new level that the other quarterbacks couldn't have attained? I feel this conversation boils down to how us fans and the media looks at QBs. Do we give too much credit to QBs? Do we put too much blame on QBs? And do we project that fairly for every QB? I don't think we project it fairly for every QB, but it's always interesting. And these QB discussions will always be intriguing. It's something that the NFL thrives on. So thank you for watching and have a great week. Peace.